They come from two worlds. One was born to fight, the other to inherit. New York, 2010. A fateful collision on the street brought them together. This is not just a love story, but a journey of faith, determination, and the fight against social prejudices. Can they write a real-life fairy tale? Or has fate posed too great a challenge? Let's find out their story with Mindfulness. In 2010, New York still pulsed with its usual energy. A city where strangers crossed paths and destinies often collided without warning. Jake Morales, a 21-year-old with Mexican roots, had grown up in the Bronx. Life there wasn't kind. It never had been. He lost his mother young, and his father, consumed by alcohol, disappeared not long after. Since then, Jake had learned to fend for himself, from handing out flyers to waiting tables to now selling lottery tickets on the streets and fixing old laptops for extra cash. Jake hustled every day, chasing a dream no one else seemed to believe in, building his own tech company. He wasn't naive. He knew where he came from. But deep down, he believed that if he worked hard enough, God would open a door, even just a crack. Not far from Central Park, in a sleek cafe filled with polished marble and soft jazz, Emma Carter was having a heated argument with her older sister. She was the youngest daughter of one of Manhattan's wealthiest real estate families. Golden hair, striking blue eyes, and a fire in her spirit that didn't always fit into the world she was born into. Frustrated and hurt, Emma grabbed her designer bag and stormed out of the cafe, her heels clicking against the pavement. She wasn't watching where she was going, too caught up in her emotions, and collided hard into someone on the sidewalk. Her bag hit the ground, contents scattering across the concrete. Startled, Jake dropped his clipboard of tickets and knelt quickly. "Are you okay?" he asked, his voice warm with concern. "Let me help you." Emma looked down, flustered, her anger fading just a little at his calm presence. "I'm fine. I wasn't paying attention. Thanks." Jake picked up her wallet, a lipstick tube, and a compact mirror, placing them back into her bag before handing it to her with a kind smile. "Here you go. Be careful next time." She paused, studying him. There was no bitterness in his tone, no annoyance, just genuine kindness. "Are you sure you're all right?" she asked, brushing her hair behind her ear. "I think I hit you pretty hard." Jake gave a small laugh. "I've had worse. It's okay. Hope the rest of your day goes better." She watched him as he turned to leave. Something about him, the way he didn't try to impress or take advantage, felt strangely refreshing. On impulse, she called out, "Wait, can I buy you a cup of coffee? Just to say thanks." Jake turned back, surprised. "That's kind of you, but really you don't have to. I was just helping." "I want to," she insisted. "That cafe over there. Come on, it's on me." He hesitated, unsure. That cafe looked way out of his league. But there was something sincere in her tone and something calming about her presence. "All right," he nodded slowly. "Just one cup." Neither of them knew it then, but that small, unplanned moment, a spilled bag, a shared coffee, was about to set in motion a story neither could have predicted. A story shaped by storms, but steered by faith. A story where kindness, grit, and belief would light the way forward. That unexpected meeting near Central Park had opened a door neither Jake nor Emma could close. What started with a single cup of coffee quietly bloomed into something deeper, something unspoken, fragile, and unexpected. Emma found herself drawn to Jake in ways she couldn't explain. "He's different," she whispered to herself one evening. "He doesn't try to impress. He doesn't pretend. He doesn't have much. But with him, I feel like I can just be." Jake wasn't rich. He didn't wear designer shoes or drive expensive cars, but his words had weight. His eyes held a kind of hope that felt rare in a world of noise and performance. He was intelligent, quietly optimistic, and carried a calm energy that made her want to listen. When she asked about his past or his family, he would only smile and say, "I'm just trying to build something from the bottom up, like a small tree trying to grow in a forest full of giants. I believe God has a plan, and if I keep planting seeds, maybe one day I'll get to see them bloom." Emma didn't always understand the metaphors, but she was moved by the conviction behind them, the quiet confidence that maybe, just maybe, this man knew where he was going, even if the road was hard. Their coffee chats became secret walks. Their conversations stretched into long nights under starlit skies in forgotten corners of the city. They shared dreams, fears, and the ache of wanting something more. Jake never let Emma pay for anything, even if he only had crumpled bills from a long day selling lottery tickets or spare change from fixing someone's broken laptop. He insisted on covering the cost. He wanted her to see strength, not struggle. Not out of pride, but because he believed she deserved someone who showed up with hope, not exhaustion. Some nights, after 16 hours of non-stop work, he would force a smile, hide the fatigue, and show up anyway. "There were nights I could barely keep my eyes open," Jake admitted to himself one evening. "But then I'd think of Emma's smile and that look she gives me like she believes in me, and suddenly I had a little more to give. I had to keep going, because maybe, someday, I could give her more than just hidden moments like these." But Emma was hiding too. She knew her father, William Carter, all too well. A strict ex-Marine who had clawed his way into Manhattan's elite real estate circles through pure grit and discipline. He measured success by money, reputation, and pedigree. He had no patience for freeloaders and no tolerance for anything outside his carefully built world. If he found out she was seeing a boy from the Bronx with nothing to his name, it would be a disaster. "My father," Emma whispered in the dark one night, voice trembling. "He'll never understand. He'll think Jake's using me, or worse, using him. But he's not like that. He's not. I just pray, every day, that God softens his heart, that somehow there's a way." Their love felt like a flower blooming in the shadows, delicate, hidden, and constantly under threat. Both of them knew the secret couldn't last forever. One day, someone would find out. One day, the storm would come. But until then, they clung to the time they had, every whispered conversation, every stolen glance, hoping that love, real love, would be enough to weather whatever came next. Fate had never intended their secret to last. One reckless moment, one worn-down car, and suddenly, the truth came crashing in. That afternoon, Jake had borrowed a beat-up car from a friend at the apartment complex. He was heading to meet a potential client. The brakes were weak, and in one split second of poor visibility, he couldn't stop in time. The collision wasn't life-threatening, but it was enough to send him to the emergency room. News of the accident hit Emma like a blow to the chest.
Without hesitation, no care for her class schedule, no fear of her father's rules, she rushed straight to the hospital. Her heart pounded with every step, her lips whispering the same silent prayer over and over. "Please, God, keep him safe. Don't let anything happen to him. Please." She found him on a narrow hospital bed, bruised and bloodied, a gash across his temple and his arm wrapped in gauze. Her tears came without warning. She grabbed his hand, voice trembling. "Jake, oh my God, are you okay? I was so scared." His eyes opened slowly, lips forming a weak smile. "I'm all right, Emma. Don't cry." Then the door swung open with a force that made her flinch. Heavy footsteps, a tall, broad figure filled the room with silent authority. William Carter had arrived. He had received a call from the school. Emma had skipped multiple classes, and now he stood frozen, taking in the scene before him. His daughter, crying, holding the hand of a bruised young man in ragged clothes. His voice cut through the air like ice. "Emma, what the hell is going on here? And who the hell is this?" Emma shot up, startled, her voice shaking. "Dad, this is Jake. He was in an accident." William stepped closer, eyes narrowing at Jake with unfiltered disdain. "An accident? You've been skipping school for this?" He glanced Jake up and down. Some nobody from the slums lying in a hospital bed because he can't even drive a car properly? His anger surged. His voice rose, sharp and cold. "I don't know what lies this boy told you, but whatever this is, it ends now. My daughter doesn't belong with someone who has no future, no name, no standing. I see straight through people like you. You're not in love. You're looking for a way in." Jake said nothing. The bruises on his body hurt, but not as much as the words being thrown at him. Still lying on the bed, he felt every syllable like a punch to the gut. He didn't have status. He didn't have money. But he always believed in something greater, in God's purpose, in effort, in quiet dignity. But now, that belief trembled. Emma sobbed, stepping between her father and Jake. "Stop. You don't know him. You don't see him. He's not using me. I love him." Her father turned on her, voice unyielding. "You're young and foolish. You don't see what I see. This ends now. You're coming with me." Tears streaming, she tried to fight back. "Please, he's not what you think." "Enough, Emma. Now." William grabbed her arm firmly and pulled her toward the door. She looked back one last time, eyes locking with Jake's. Two souls being torn apart by a world that didn't want them together. Jake was left alone. The smell of antiseptic hung in the air. The fluorescent light above flickered faintly. His body ached, but his heart felt hollow. He stared at the ceiling. Was this God's plan, or just a test too painful to bear? He closed his eyes and whispered the only words he had left. "Give me strength, Lord, to accept this and to keep going."
Jake lay awake in the hospital bed that night, staring at the ceiling as Mr. Carter's words echoed over and over in his mind. A man with no future. He wasn't wrong. Not yet. Jake loved Emma, fiercely, deeply. But he knew, keeping her by his side now would only bring her more pain. He couldn't be the reason she lost her future, her family, her freedom. Not when he had nothing real to offer. He had always believed God had a greater plan, and maybe Maybe this was part of it, the painful part. Maybe to receive something meaningful, you had to be willing to let go of something precious first. Jake started narrating. That night, I made the hardest decision of my life. I let her go. Not because I didn't love her. I didn't want Emma chained to someone still fighting to survive. She deserved a future untouched by struggle, a love not born in the shadows. And I needed to stand on my own before I could ever stand beside her. Jake disappeared. He wiped every trace of himself from social media, ignored every call, left every message unread. He vanished from her world, coldly, deliberately, painfully, the only way he knew how to protect her and to force himself forward. He threw himself into work, fixed computers, learned to code, took night classes, read until his eyes blurred. No distractions, no shortcuts, no excuses. Each day was a test, a battle between exhaustion and faith. But he kept going, because in his mind, Mr. Carter's voice had changed, no longer a wound, but fuel. A man with no future. He vowed to build one from scratch. Meanwhile, Emma was falling apart. Emma's voice continued, soft and broken. He vanished, just disappeared. It was like he never existed. I called, I searched, every platform, every inbox, nothing. And the silence, it shattered me. My father said I should be grateful, that he was right all along. But I knew better. I felt it. Jake wasn't that kind of person. He left for a reason, and I could only pray that he was safe, and that one day I'd understand. The years passed, like a slow ache. Emma graduated from Columbia, moved into the corporate world, and tried to carry on. But the ghost of Jake lingered, in her thoughts, in her prayers, in every quiet moment she allowed herself to feel. Suitors came and went, all polished, pedigreed, perfect on paper. Her family pushed, friends questioned, but her heart had closed its doors the day Jake walked out of her life. 3 years. 3 long, silent years. And still, she waited. Not blindly, not desperately, but with a steady, unshakable belief that if love was real, if he was real, God would bring him back, no matter how far he had to climb.
"3 years had passed. 3 long years of silence, of yearning and relentless pursuit. Emma had grown more poised, more polished in her career. But deep within her heart, Jake's presence still lingered. Each day, she whispered a quiet prayer, asking God to keep him safe and for a chance, someday, to see him again. Emma think, full of hope. Time moves fast, but hope, true hope, never fades. I never stopped believing. What Jake and I had, the love we planted with faith and sacrifice, I knew one day it would blossom. I just knew he was out there, still fighting, still moving forward. Then one autumn day in Silicon Valley, Emma attended a high-profile tech summit hosted at the luxury hotel chain her family owned. Now a senior executive, she had access to the guest list. Skimming through the speakers' names with idle curiosity, something stopped her cold.
Her heart skipped a beat. There it was. Jake Morales, keynote speaker, founder and CEO of a tech startup recently valued at $20 million. Her eyes locked on the name, her breath catching in her throat. Emma, soft gasp, voice trembling. No, it can't be. Jake? He did it? He really did it? Emotion overwhelmed her. Shock, joy, disbelief. For a long moment, she just stood there, staring at the name. Images of their past flooded back, like a slow-motion reel from another lifetime. Then he walked onto the stage. Jake looked nothing like the boy from 3 years ago. Gone was the lanky, unsure frame. Now he carried himself with the quiet confidence of a man who had faced storms and survived. A tailored suit, a firm gaze, the same fire in his eyes. He adjusted the mic, smiled, that same familiar smile, and began to speak. Jake, calm, steady voice. Good evening, everyone. I'm Jake Morales. People often ask me, how do you build a company from nothing? How do you turn a dream everyone doubts into something real? Jake, I started with an old laptop, a heart full of ambition, and the memory of a girl who once believed in me when no one else did. She was my reason, my anchor. Her faith in me gave me the courage to fight when I wanted to give up. And it was that same faith, along with God's guidance, that carried me through every trial. I believe when we plant seeds of perseverance, integrity, and belief, even when the world offers no guarantee, those seeds will bloom. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but in time, miracles grow. His words pierced straight through Emma's heart. Tears welled in her eyes. He remembered her. He still remembered. And he had made it. Emma, quiet sob. He didn't forget. He really didn't forget. After the event, when the crowd had thinned and conversations turned casual, Emma gathered all her courage and approached him. Jake was speaking with a few executives when he turned and saw her. Jake, startled, eyes softening in disbelief. Emma! Emma, tears spilling, voice cracking. Jake, I've looked for you for so long. She ran into his arms, her tears soaked into his shoulder as he wrapped his arms around her, holding her tightly, like letting go was no longer an option. There were no words needed. Not anymore. In that moment, love spoke for itself. Their fateful reunion in Silicon Valley rekindled a love that neither time nor hardship could erase. Jake and Emma were together again, but this time, they were no longer the people they once were. Jake had become a successful man, and Emma had grown into a strong, graceful woman. Their love, tested and forged in fire, now stood stronger than ever. Emma, voiceover radiant with joy. Finding Jake again was like finding the half of my soul that had gone missing. He wasn't just successful, he had matured. He was still my Jake, but there was a new light in him now. The light of faith and the strength that comes from never giving up. 6 months after reuniting, on a golden autumn afternoon, Jake brought Emma home, unannounced. She knew this day would come, the day he would face the final wall between them.
her father, William Carter. Jake knew this wasn't just about asking for Emma's hand. This was about proving his worth, not with wealth, but with the man he had become. He had prayed often for this moment, for courage and wisdom, for the strength to stand tall. William Carter sat in the living room, his expression cold, his eyes sharp with skepticism. He remembered the poor, nameless boy from 3 years ago. And despite the rumors of Jake's success, the old man wasn't easily convinced. "Mr. Carter," cool, curt, "what are you doing here?" Jake, steady, composed. "Mr. Carter, I'm not here to explain the past. I'm here to speak about the future, mine and Emma's." Jake didn't bow this time. He stood tall, meeting William Carter's steel gaze without flinching. He placed a folder on the table. It wasn't a statement of net worth. It was something else entirely. It was a proposal, an outline of social impact projects aimed at helping underprivileged youth, kids in shelters, orphans, teenagers living in the streets, people like Jake once was. "Jake," he said calmly, "I've started a foundation. I want to use what I've earned to help those society often forgets. And I'd like to invite you, sir, with your experience and your vision, to be a part of it. Together, we can make a real difference." Mr. Carter picked up the folder and began reading carefully, page by page. His face shifted, first skepticism, then curiosity, and finally something softer. There was no pride or arrogance in Jake's words, only sincerity and compassion and purpose. He looked up at Jake, eyes steady. "Mr. Carter," slower, more thoughtful, "when I first met you, I saw a poor boy with no future. Today, I see a man worthy of my daughter." Those words were release for Jake, for Emma, and perhaps even for Mr. Carter himself. He had come to understand that the value of a man isn't measured by what he owns, but who he is, his character, his resilience, his heart. Jake and Emma were married in a small, quiet church just outside the city. Emma wore a simple white dress. Hand in hand, they exchanged vows beneath the gentle light of stained glass in the presence of loved ones and the grace of God. Mr. Carter said little during the ceremony, but as Jake and Emma stepped out into the sunlight, he approached and pressed a small key into Jake's hand, a key to a new apartment. He leaned in and, for the first time, smiled. Mr. Carter, softly, "This isn't about money. It's because you've kept my daughter's heart and your own integrity. You've shown me that faith in people and faith in God can overcome anything." Their happiness was not bought with wealth or prestige. It was built on unshakable trust in each other, in themselves, and in the goodness of a higher plan.
5 years into their marriage, Jake and Emma had built a life many could only dream of. They settled in a quiet California suburb, where rolling green hills and open skies seemed to whisper serenity after years of struggle. Their home echoed with the laughter of a little girl named Hope, a name that carried the very spirit of what had kept them going through every hardship. Hope was not just their daughter, but a living symbol of grace, of promises fulfilled when one holds on long enough. "She's the greatest gift God ever gave us," Jake often said, his voice filled with wonder. "Every time I see her smile, I remember why I never gave up." Though still a successful tech CEO, Jake now spent much of his free time volunteering, offering free coding classes to orphans and underprivileged kids. He believed in planting seeds of hope where they were needed most. "It's not about where you start," he told the children. "It's about what you believe is possible, with faith, grit, and a little guidance from above." Emma, too, found her calling. She turned their story into a memoir, a tale of struggle, resilience, and the kind of love that refuses to break. It became a national bestseller, touching the hearts of thousands. The story of Jake Morales, the boy from the Bronx who rose above every obstacle, and Emma Carter, the girl who defied privilege for love, became more than just a love story. It became a message. Your beginnings don't define your destiny. What matters is how you choose to love, to live, and to believe. In yourself, in each other, and in the divine plans that guide us all.
If this story touched your heart, please consider liking the video, leaving a comment about what part moved you most, and subscribing for more soulful stories like this. We'd also love to hear from you. What kind of story would you like us to tell next? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Your voice helps shape the heart of this channel. Until next time, stay kind, stay present, and never underestimate the quiet power of love.